Talk Radio.
Powered by common sense. Activated by opinion.
The voice of reason.
In search of the perfect debate.
Free Speech Radio.
On the app, on your smart speaker, and on the money. Talk Radio.
It is Talk Radio 03444991000. That is where you will find us. It's 3:45. The great thing about a Friday, it gives us the unique opportunity to do this.
Bottoms up, it's Wind Down Friday on Talk Radio.
Would you look at that, everybody? As if by magic, we've entered a bar. It's a bar of pure style, I have to say. Christopher Cooper is back with us as well. Christopher, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. The Drinkonomics, from Drinkonomics Production.
That's correct.
You are a presenter and director of.
We are absolutely. And we're moving forward with some really exciting wines. And I am presenting to you today 3 really exciting wines. We are talking Winter Olympic winning wines, I will say. Obviously, with the official opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics.
Yep.
Right now in Beijing, and also with China having just celebrated Chinese New Year, we're looking at wines that will work amazingly well with Chinese food and that celebrates the countries that were likely to be battling it out at the top of the medals table in the Winter Olympics coming up.
Is that us?
I don't believe we'll be there. We've got a team, a small team, but they'll do well.
Lizzie Yarnold. Remember Lizzie Yarnold? What happened to I know what happened to her. She lives around the corner from me. She's a Sevenoaks girl. Helen Skelton as well. There's another one.
We've got a decent skeleton team.
Eddie the Eagle Edwards.
He's not quite in the team.
Is he not?
A little bit long in the tooth these days.
He was freestyling. No, apparently not.
We've got a decent esports, exports team going there at the moment.
Yeah.
All the snowboarding and all of the, extreme skiing and that sort of thing. Curling teams looking really strong as well.
Because you get your curling as well. You forget these other things.
Yeah. All those weird sports that you've forgotten about since 4 years ago.
That's the broom one.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, let's
chucking
be honest.
big stones down the ice.
What the hell is that all about? I can move it. I mean, I'm quite. It's one of those things where you start watching it, you go, I've got to watch this now. Like, you can't watch the first guy go and then not watch the next one.
Well, exactly. It can get quite gripping as well. But also, it's one of those things that you watch and you think, I'd love to have a go at that.
Love to have a go at that.
Yeah.
What about tobogganing? Because that's where it starts to get really it's quite dangerous.
Would you chuck yourself head first down a toboggan?
I don't think I would. When I was a kid, the presenter on Blue Peter did it, and he came off as well, really quite bad. I mean, the BBC would never allow someone to do this today. And he came off and had a really quite a bad accident. He was bruised. I mean, the bruise was his entire torso, basically.
Oh, my goodness.
How he didn't break everything, I don't know.
It is highly, highly dangerous, along with lots of the other Winter Olympic sports that are there. However, we digress slightly.
We digress.
But we are talking gold medal winning wines, or possibly the 3 countries that will be top of the leaderboard, I would say. And the first one that we're talking about is...
Can I just stop you, Chris?
Yes, you
just
can.
1 second, because I've forgotten to do the trivia question. We have a trivia question.
Go on then.
It is this. What is the strongest percentage of beer you can buy in the world? The strongest percentage of beer. If you know the answer, don't answer it yet, because we will give the answer when Rob Render comes in, because he knows everything, Rob, as you know.
He does.
He probably will know the answer.
He'll probably have tasted it.
I'm sure he's got some with him. He's probably got some in his bag. What is the strongest percentage of beer you can buy in the world? We'll give you the answer shortly. Christopher, I interrupted you.
No, don't worry. It's an important trivia question. But so we are talking about the gold medal winning wines. And so this is a wine from the United States. I believe the United States are going to do really well in the Winter Olympics coming up. They've got a massive, massive team, as they always do. And this is a particularly decent example of a Riesling from the Washington State area of the United States. Normally when we think about United States wines, we think about California and big heavy Chardonnays and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but this is Washington State.
It's just above.
All the way in the north, up towards Seattle on the border with Canada. Cold climate, much more mountainous up this particular way, and produces a Riesling style. This is a Riesling from the Colombia Valley. Crisp, fresh, aromatic, fruity, really, really interesting.
I always say this. I don't know whether my brain just plays a trick on me, but the fact that we're talking about Winter Olympics, this has got some... Have I just imagined this in my head? That this now tastes like something you would drink on a mountainside?
You possibly could, absolutely. I'm sure you would.
There's something crisp. You mentioned the word crisp.
Yes.
There is something that straight away my brain has gone to all of those words that you would associate with being on a crisp,
fresh
Open
mineral,
air, fresh, all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all going on, isn't it?
No, it certainly is.
Happy days.
And it works a lot with a lot of the sort of Asian dishes as well. So it's things like crab, oysters, scallops, fresh chili dishes. That's where this particular wine works really, really well. And this particular one is $9.99 from Waitrose.
Fantastic. I love that. Can I just bring in a tweet here, a text
Certainly can.
from Brad in Cambridge? Nothing to do with wine, but you might have a take on this. We were talking about mindfulness and meditation a second ago. Brad says, I'm a retired psychotherapist and I practice mindfulness for over a decade. It can make a huge difference to a person's life. So, Christopher, I'm going to ask you, have you ever tried it?
Mindfulness?
Yeah.
Yes, to a certain extent, I sort of somewhat practice it, for sure.
So you do a bit now still?
Well, generally sort of calming, sort of relaxed methods, those sorts of things. You know, one doesn't need to be overly stressed out or overly thought about life in general. So it's about sort of keeping one's calm and keeping one's measure as much as possible.
Because don't they reckon, if you wake up in the morning and just sort of sit there quiet for 5 minutes, just doing nice breathing, and that apparently improves your day?
It does. And stretching first thing in the morning, just mini stretches of little different things, to exercise the body and the mind slightly, and just a moment of calm in the morning works wonders.
Not star jumps?
Not quite, no.
I mean, you could.
If that's your thing.
Do your star jumps. If not, just like nice stretches.
I try my mindfulness generally with a glass of wine in my hand as well. I always think that works quite well. But that's just me.
When I've had like more than one of those, like everything seems better for a bit.
Everybody has to mind out.
I've got all sorts of ideas. I've got inventions. I've got that book I've been waiting to write for the last couple of years. That's going to happen.
It all comes out at that point.
Yeah, then you put the right music on as well, don't you?
Start dancing,
singing to yourself.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do in a custody suite. What have you got for us as the second one?
Wine number two, we're talking about wines from Italy. I think Italy are going to do very well in the medals table coming up. They've got a huge team and some really big stars in their team. This is a Pinot Grigio from the Alto Adige, and which is the region in the far north of Italy, in the mountains, on the borders with Switzerland and Austria. Obviously, in the mountains right there, it's cooler, slower growing seasons, and this particular Pinot Grigio works really, really well. And this is £8 from Morrison's. And
so it's £8. It ticks two boxes because people often instinctively think Pinot Grigio because it's one of those wines that everybody's heard of.
That's right.
They've often tasted it as the house white somewhere and they like it, so they ask for it, and it's £8 at Morrison's.
That's right, but this is not your standard entry-level Pinot Grigio. This is a little bit of a step up. So if you like Pinot Grigio and you want to push the boat out and try something a little bit different, a little more complex, this is the one to go for.
That's amazing. Pinot Grigio, just tell us about that, because how many types of Pinot Grigio would there be?
Pinot Grigio can be grown all over the world in very different sizes, styles and different sort of flavours, I would say. You can get Pinot Gris from France, which is obviously quite fruity and quite sort of creamy and sweet, if you like. Lower alcohol, higher sugar content. Then you also have lots of sort of entry-level Pinot Grigios from all over Italy, which generally tend to be sort of light, crisp, fresh, easy drinking, sort of low sort of flavour that's overly... and then you've got this particular wine style from the mountains, which generally tend to be a little bit more bigger, richer, spicier, fuller, and have flavours of sort of apple blossom and fresh pear, as I say, with this particular one. It's got a nice sort of soft, creamy finish on it as well. So this one goes really well with sort of spicy prawns and prawn crackers, those sorts of things.
Yeah. And where are you on the sort of gradient of pricing? Because you often hear, and it's all anecdotal stuff, and people have their different views on this, don't they? They often say, well, you can buy something for a tenner, and the quality won't be any different if it was 15 quid or 10 quid. But once you get to 17 quid, then it changes.
Oh, pricing is big news in wine at the moment.
And then it's no different for X amount of pounds, and then it changes. So is there any truth behind all of that?
There is, I would say. When you're buying a wine in the supermarket for, let's say, £6, I would probably say maybe 30 to 50 pence goes back to the winemaker to actually make that wine.
Yeah.
And then when you buy a wine for, say, £8 or £10, then £1 or £2 goes back to the winemaker to make that wine.
Gotcha.
So therefore, there's a lot more that the winemaker can do with £2 per bottle than what they can do with 50p per bottle.
Yeah.
So therefore, by just spending an extra couple of quid, you're getting a markedly better quality product.
Is it sacrilege that we're drinking some nice wine and in about an hour's time I'll be having a pint of Foster's?
No, not at all. If that's what you like and that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Well, that's usually the one that's a bit... Peroni would be better, but...
If that's your thing, then
Do you know
that's
what I
your
mean?
thing. Oh, absolutely. I do. I quite often really enjoy a nice beer after a wine tasting.
Yeah, but the reason I said is it's sacrilege because it's often said, don't mix the beer and the wine. And I'll probably just have one, and then I'll have some wine with the meal.
Yeah.
But turning up at the pub, because I've been out for ages, is quite nice to just have a beer sometimes.
I think if you're having a beer as a bit of a refresher, it's always nice to mix it up as much as you possibly can. I think if you have a skinful of wine and then move on to a skinful of beer, generally that's when things tend to go awry, shall we say. But
do you know what I've got? Do you know what's happening? How bad is this? Okay, so I'm meeting my mate Tom for a drink. Okay, now he works on another talk station.
Right.
Down Marketplace.
Oh, rival.
Down Market, yeah.
Are you still friends with him?
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Well, he took over my old job when I left. So anyway, so meeting my mate Tom, and he sends me a text like 2 days ago saying, I think I'm going to drive there, which essentially is saying I'm not going to be drinking. And I'm thinking, I haven't been out for 3 weeks, so I fancy having a bit of a drink.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to sit there like a prawn, aren't I?
Yeah.
Or is he going to sit there like a prawn?
We might
Who's
have a
the
shandy.
prawn?
You might
Who's
have a
the prawn in
shandy
the
with you or
equation?
something like that. But, he can have a lemonade or whatever it might be.
You know, when a mate
but there are
doesn't-
so many amazing non-alcoholic beers out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it would be a terrible world if you could only have a good time if you're bladdered. I mean, that would be terrible.
Wouldn't it?
But by the same token, there is a certain expectation. We meet up every couple of months for one of these events, one of these powwows of radio madness, where we chew the fat and just talk about all the gossip in the industry. And other stuff too. And then you discover that your drinking cohort is not drinking.
Oh. No, well...
Can I ask this question, Christian?
Yes, you can.
Will you come with us?
This evening?
I think you might have to. We're going to have to take Christopher with us. That's how bad
Just so
Tom
you've got
it's
a drinking buddy.
So we've got a drinking buddy. And you know your stuff as well. You know your bits.
Well, we'll buy a nice bottle of wine or a glass of something or other.
We'll bring
whatever
Rob
it might
Rinder
be.
with us
We'll
as
bring
well.
Rob Rinder with us
So
as
there'll be
well.
four of
He'll
them.
be a bit busy this evening, won't he?
He might be, yeah. Well, he can come later, can't we?
He can
We'll
come
have you.
later.
Let's look at the
We'll
final
move on
one.
to the final one, shall we?
What is it, Christopher? This is the final wine in Wine Down Friday, and Rob Rinder has entered the room.
Hello, everybody. It's like arriving at,
We're moving on to
off
a
the
Grüne Veltliner.
bandwagon. Where are we?
Oh, goodness me. We're moving on to an orange Grüne Veltliner. So this is a Grüne Veltliner from Austria that spent a little bit of time on its skins during the fermentation process.
What's it been doing invading Poland?
And so this particular orange wine is a really, really exciting wine because I think Austria are going to do really well in the Winter Olympics.
Winter Olympics, yeah.
There's like 4 countries that do well in the Winter Olympics. Sort of.
The British are doing well. We might get some medals in the curling.
We might get some curling, Rob.
Oh yeah, no, I do like watching the Scottish. Cause I got a friend who's sort of part of all that. It's actually quite an exciting sport. What is this the one?
No,
Why haven't I got any?
That's the middle one.
Okay, this is it. What's it called?
Pour that one into that one.
Okay,
And then you can have a little bit of the
Okay,
orange one.
fine. It's called Elektrische Straßenbahnerhaltestelle. Is that right? It's the only German I know.
That's exactly one. The Grüne Veltliner orange
means
finds a
electric
creme from the
tram
creme style.
Is that what it means?
Yeah, they have compound nouns where they can't be bothered thinking a word. They just put all these words together.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. What's this one?
Yeah. So,
So, so just remind me how it's made.
so this is an orange wine, the Grüne Veltliner grape. What they do is they press the grapes and they leave the juice in contact with the skins and the pips and all those sorts of things for a little bit longer, for 18 days actually. So what they do
That
is
is lovely.
this
Is it dessert wine?
No, it's still
It's
a,
nice,
a
isn't it?
regular white
But you
wine.
wouldn't give it to somebody that wasn't having dessert with it.
No,
What do
of
eat
course
it
you
with?
could. Of course you could. You know,
You
this can go with like Asian curry, kung pao chicken, Thai food, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Anything you like, Rob. There's no rules around here, Rob Rinder.
Oh, we break the rules.
We break the rules. Let me just very quickly, while Rob is tasting that, remind you of the trivia question. The strongest percentage of beer you can buy in the world is something called snake venom.
Yes, that's right.
Do you know it?
I've heard of it. Yes.
67.5%.
Oh, I've got to try this.
By the
Another
Scottish,
strong
it's a
Belgian
Brewmeister beer, Scottish brewery. There it is. Nice one. Listen, Christopher, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Lovely
Christopher
to see
Cooper
you.
with us here
This is
on
lovely.
Talk Radio.
It's really nice.
Rob Rinder, we have literally 10 seconds.
We're going to be talking about Boris's future in number 10. Everybody is leaving then, well, frankly, a party at my house. It's not fun, and I make people show up and clean. And we're going to talk about the issue of mental health. A lot of people are getting very angry at Joanna Lumley, but has she, I'm afraid, got people angry because she's touched on a truth, which is that there is a profound distinction between people who are experiencing mental health problems and depression and those who are just sad? And do we need to get more savvy, more thoughtful, and more mindful, dare I say, about what mental health is and how it can help people who are really suffering at the most extreme end.
Good work. Rob's here on the other side of the news at 4, which is next.
Talk Radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.